Good day and welcome to yet another edition of the COVID-19 podcast. Glad to be in your company. Enoke Kaumba is my name. It's been a while since we had a conversation with Mr. Frederico Links, and he is on the other line with me today again. And today we're talking vaccine development being at the heart of the disinformation. Good day, Mr. Frederico. How's it been? How are you? Where have you been?
I've uh, uh, I've been here all the time, Enoch. So yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and yeah, you know, um, we find ourselves in having to continue to you know to deal with issues in this information space.
Rightfully so. And ever since the project started of us informing the public out there in terms of what to look at, giving them the right knowledge, arming them with what they need to know in terms of disinformation when it comes to COVID-19 things, so that they can make the rightful choice. One of the things that has always popped up is the vaccine and the period it took for them to be developed. And in this article again, it's what you're talking about, and you pinpointed it out, and you speak about the word experimental popping up, rushed, and all sorts of things. But maybe today I want us to just maybe play into the minds of the people who believed this by looking at it from the first time, from the first time's perspective. Do you do you blame someone, someone who is has been living a normal life? Okay, that was the normal then, a normal life, and then boom, a pandemic comes, boom, shortly after a vaccine is created. I mean, would you not give the people who question this the benefit of the doubt?
Up to a point, yes, we have to. Um, but there comes a point when you know people have to take responsibility for informing themselves. This is something that is being said around the world. If they if the information, if the explanations, if the answers to your questions have been provided by those in the know, by those who the experts and so on, um, and the answers are there, um, for the whole world to see.
Mm,
Um, and then people still, um, come with questions such as these. You have to wonder about whether people are doing this in good faith, um, or whether they're just being stubborn and ignorant. And really, I mean, at this point, you know, and this is a point that that it's not just me making this point, but others as well around the world. This is one of the things about media and information literacy,
mm,
and it's astounding. If a year, more than a year, almost 18 months now, almost 2 years now, we've been in this pandemic, and people are still not clued up about what's happening around them, then whose responsibility is it to inform them?
mm,
If in the middle of a pandemic that affects everybody, this is a health emergency that is affecting all of us. Our Not just our health, but our society in various ways. Economically, people have lost jobs, people have lost businesses. And in that context, you're not making an effort to be informed.
mm,
I don't know what would drive you to be up to date with knowledge. I mean, what would it take for you to take responsibility for keeping yourself informed in a context such as that?
mm,
And you find that uh, people who express such views are very often those who stand to lose, in all of, instead of keeping up to date
yeah.
with something that could affect your life, could affect your job, could affect your health and those around you. You don't engage with information.
Mm,
Now that's why I say, I mean, up to a point, it is understandable, that people question things that have already been answered.
Yeah.
Information is out there; it's available. My question then becomes, why are you not informed?
Mm, mm, mm,
You know, these questions that you're asking have been answered already, and they've been answered a while ago already.
yeah.
You know, but you're not making an effort. Why are you not taking responsibility for keeping yourself up to date?
Mm, mm,
So I mean, up to a point, and then you have to ask people questions about their information, um, how they engage with information, not just this sort of information, but any sort of information. I mean, you have to question people like that about, do they ever engage with any sort of credible or meaningful information?
yeah.
Um, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult, it's a bit of a complicated question.
Yeah, it's good. Maybe there are some bit of positives in this topic because now I think, according to data that I've seen, we are beginning to see a little bit of change in how people are responding towards the vaccination. I recently saw there was an article in another media that says about 200,000 people have now been vaccinated. So that's something positive that we can look at. But also, in one of our discussions that John Collin had with Mr. Christie as well, there's this other group also. It's not, it's different from the one that we spoke about that already convinced us that no, me, come hell or high water, I'm not going to get vaccinated, whether the information is true or not. But then there's this other group. They are part of a group, groups that are called the movable middle. So them, they are just saying that okay, I have nothing against the vaccine, but I will not get vaccinated because it's my right. And looking at your article, there's too many things that are pointed out in terms of how effective it has been, and the proof that is there that the vaccines have been very effective. And you hear people that are talking like this, and I want we putting into perspective that for us to reach herd immunity, the vaccine will play a very, very pivotal role. And when you look at people who are also talking like this, say they have nothing against the vaccine, but they will not get vaccinated because it's their right. um what needs to be
Well, I
done
mean,
there?
you have to challenge that,
Mm,
because clearly they have something against the vaccine. They're just not being honest about it.
mm,
You know, if you keep an open mind about the facts and the facts tell you one thing, then you should be persuadable. But
yeah.
if the facts don't persuade you in the middle of an emergency that affects us all our health, then of course clearly you have something against the vaccine. You're going against the the facts. You're going against the evidence. You're refusing to keep an open mind, and you're being dishonest. That
Mm,
is a dishonest answer.
mm,
To be honest with you, and I mean, it's clear that they're actually, they actually don't want to say that I'm anti-vaccine. They don't want to be labeled like that.
they are being smart
So
around
they
how they
say,
say no.
yeah, so it's about my right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And look at them complain when others exercise their right. If a business tells them, you won't come onto my premises if you're not vaccinated, then they go on about their rights. But it's that business's right to deny them service
Mm,
because they aren't vaccinated. It's that business owner's right. I had a discussion with somebody about this recently, where the person was also on about rights. And I said, look, this rights argument is a very weak argument. Um, if you're going to use your right not to vaccinate, then other people can deny you access to their premises and to their businesses, and it's their right. Then you mustn't come and complain about your rights being affected. Other
mm,
people are
mm,
worried about their staff, the health of their staff, and the health of their clients, and the health of their businesses. So they're going to do everything they can to protect people's health,
yeah, yeah.
and that's their right. So I mean, they a lot of these people, when you address the issue about rights from that angle, then you know all
Mm,
of a sudden, and then a lot of them, they double down on, it's my human rights. And
yeah.
nah, it's everybody else's human rights as well, and they can exercise their rights.
Yeah.
um So if you're going to make weak arguments about your rights and human rights and things, you know, it just demonstrates that a lot of people don't actually understand, you know, uh, the rights and consequences and limitations and these things. They're quick to talk about human rights, but they don't fully understand the implications of what they're saying. Um, and I mean, there have been cases in other parts of the world where people have stood on their rights, and all of them have been lost
Mm.
because our constitution too. Um, Government can introduce measures, and private can deny. I can deny you access to my property. I can deny you access to my business. I can deny. That is my right. It's in the
Yeah,
constitution,
yeah.
but people don't see that.
They just
Um,
see that
so
the fact that it's a vaccine involved, and then
yeah.
laws are being put into place. Then it
Mm,
plays with the head, and then boom, a
mm,
conclusion is reached. Unfortunate
yeah.
conclusion. But what I want to ask is, ever since this pandemic started, people in like people who are doing the line of work that you're doing, have been very instrumental in educating us. This podcast that we're doing. I just want to know personally from you, what has this pandemic taught you, and what do you think you as a person and organization that's involved? What do you think is there more that you can still do from what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, there's always more that can be done. I mean, and we want to do more, and we sort of have things in the pipeline that we're working on, and that we'll be looking at rolling out towards the end of the year.
Mm,
Um, so, I mean, you have to respond and innovate and so on because the disinformation, you know, evolves and has evolved and changes, and you constantly have to respond to this. You have to respond, um, you know, in a manner appropriate to what is being claimed and how it's being spread and so on. So I mean, it's not that we're still doing, for instance, um, what we were doing this time last year. We're
mm,
doing things slightly differently, and we have to. And even though a lot of the things that we're dealing with are actually just repeat falsehoods and the same conspiracy theories,
yeah.
they've evolved in it slightly, and we have to deal with them continuously. Um, so I mean, this is something that this is a landscape that continues to shift, and that we have to shift with it, or we'll fall through the cracks and become a casualty of this pandemic. Um, so yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it has, I feel it has exposed a lot of things that need to be addressed.
Mm,
COVID-19 and the various issues that have come with it. It's exposed things that need to be addressed, communicationally and informationally. In how we use technology, communication technology, in how official sources and authorities communicate and provide information. It has exposed weaknesses and failures. Um, it has exposed weaknesses and failures in how the media reports on issues such as COVID-19,
yeah.
and you know uh, not just here, of course, but I mean everywhere else as well. Um, the reporting failures have been glaring. I'm actually right now working on an article. Look at some of the um, you know the whole Sputnik 5 announcement of August, where it was announced as if on the 20th, Namibia would be receiving Sputnik vaccines, but it was actually just the signing of an agreement,
Oh.
and how that whole um, that episode was the media misinforming the public. Um, so I mean, it just, so these are all issues that have been exposed to weaknesses sort of at various points on the communication and information landscape. And I mean, and then just um, the sort of things that people start believing,
Yeah.
um, and that has also been eye opening. The sort of lies that people then start clinging on to, the falsehoods and conspiracy theories, and um, the the the, this point at which you know some people just become almost stupid. You know,
Unfortunately.
it sort of has exposed this, and it has exposed a lot of people, um, officials and influencers, and have been exposed by this, and the whole notion of an influencer in these times has become a questionable notion.
Yeah, it has been tested. I
So
agree.
I mean, they are, across the board. There have been exposés and where we just see that there are weaknesses and failures,
Mm.
in communication and information sharing.
All right. We leave it there, Mr. Frederico. Always a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I don't know if somewhat it felt very, very fast. It was flowing. It's like the game. It was like we're playing a game of football and we're both on one side and we're just passing the ball to each other very, very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
All
Yeah, I
right.
mean, it has been. I hope for the people who listen to this,
Yeah.
it has been also been informative, and that it meant something. It was meaningful.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frederico. And with that, we leave it there. Stay tuned for the Q&A session. If you still have questions regarding the topic that we were talking about, the topic that we spoke about today was vaccine development being at the heart of the disinformation. For me, Enoch, and Mr. Frederico, it's bye-bye.